One NEMT entrepreneur got his federal paperwork perfect, bought his van, hired his driver, and then lost $45,000 in revenue while his business sat shut down. Not because he did something wrong, because he skipped one registration he didn't know existed. This video makes sure that never happens to you. Welcome to Nemiton, where NEMT entrepreneurs build empires. In the next 9 minutes, the complete Medicaid provider enrollment path, the federal layer, the state layer most people miss, the exact documents in the packet, the step where most applications stall, and the timeline to plan your cash around. More NEMT businesses die in the enrollment queue than on the road, and almost all of those deaths were preventable. Let's prevent yours. Here's the insight that reframes everything. Enrollment is not one application. It's 3 separate layers stacked on top of each other, and they don't talk to each other. Layer 1 is federal basics, your EIN, your NPI number, your business entity. Layer 2 is your state's Medicaid provider enrollment. Layer 3, the one that killed that $45,000 business, is your state's transportation authority, which is a completely different agency. He had layers 1 and 2. In California, Layer 3 is CPUC registration, and operating without it earned him a cease and desist after 3 months on the road. An LLC and an EIN are not permission to transport Medicaid passengers, ever. The Federal Foundation. Layer 1, the Federal Foundation. 5 items, and you can knock most of them out in a week. First, your legal entity and EIN from the IRS. Free, online, same day. Second, your NPI, National Provider Identifier, from the NPPES system. Also free, also fast, and required before any state will look at you. Third, business licensing in your city or county. Fourth, insurance that meets the standard. Commercial auto liability, typically at a $1 million minimum, and budget honestly here, because per vehicle premiums run roughly $5,000 to $10,000 a year in most markets, and up to $15,000 in the biggest metros. Fifth, your compliance basics. Drivers 21 or older with clean records and background checks. Vehicles with current inspections, and a documentation system, because federal standards require you to keep driver and vehicle records for 3 years and trip records for 6. Write those retention numbers down. 3 years, 6 years. They'll matter again at the end of this video. The state packet, document by document. Layer 2, your state Medicaid provider enrollment packet. The names vary by state, but the contents are remarkably consistent. So here's the checklist. A WU. The signed provider agreement. Read it before you sign it. It's a contract, not a formality. An ACH form for direct deposit, because this is how you get paid. TIN and EIN verification. Copies of every license, business, driver, and vehicle. Proof of insurance meeting your state's minimums, and your NPI confirmation. Now, the step where applications stall. Incomplete or mismatched documentation. If the name on your insurance certificate doesn't exactly match the name on your LLC filing, expect the packet to bounce, and every bounce restarts your place in a queue that already moves in weeks and months, not days. The entrepreneurs who enroll fastest do one simple thing. They build the entire document folder before they submit anything, and they check every name, address, and number for exact matches. One afternoon of checking saves a month of waiting. State trap plus who runs your state. Quick pause. We built a first U0 days launch checklist that includes this entire enrollment sequence in order. It's free, link is in the description, and it's the companion to everything in this video. Now, Layer 3, the layer that shuts businesses down. Every state adds its own transportation authority on top of Medicaid, and the differences are extreme. California, CPUC registration, strict accessibility standards, local permits on top, one of the hardest states in the country. Texas, TXDOT registration, plus enrollment through managed care organizations, with permit rules that change city by city. Florida, a certificate of public convenience and necessity, a genuinely complex application. New York, strict provider certification with vehicle and driver-specific standards, plus the highest insurance costs in America. And Colorado, listen carefully if that's you. routes every driver and vehicle through individual credentialing with a single statewide broker, and has had a moratorium blocking new provider enrollments. Verify the current status with the state before you spend $1 there. The pattern. Your state's Medicaid office and your state's transportation authority are different doors, and you must walk through both. The penalty for skipping the second door isn't a warning letter. It's shutdown, fines that can run $5,000 to $25,000, and contract cancellation. So here's the complete sequence on one screen. Week 1. Entity, EIN, NPI. Weeks 1 through 4. Insurance bound, licenses secured, driver files built. Then, the full state Medicaid packet, assembled, name-matched, submitted once, correctly. In parallel, your state transportation authority registration, because it often runs on its own slower clock. And through all of it, protect your cash, because even after approval, Medicaid pays on a 30 to 90-day cycle, which is exactly why the research says to hold 3 to 6 months of operating expenses in reserve before your first trip. Enrollment isn't the finish line. It's the starting line with a delayed first paycheck. And those retention numbers from earlier, 3 years, 6 years, set up your document system now during enrollment, because the audit that checks those files is not a possibility. In this industry, it's a schedule. Your next step tonight. Open a folder, digital or physical, and start the document checklist from this video. EIN, NPI, insurance, licenses, WU. The free First U 0 Days checklist in the description puts it all in order. Subscribe if you're building an NMT empire, because enrollment is state-specific, and our Nemiton Atlas series breaks down the exact process, brokers, and rates state by state. If you're in Texas, or thinking about it, the full Texas blueprint is on your screen right now, agency names and all.